And welcome back. And maybe again, welcome back. Sorry for small delay, but I wanted to have every element in place for you. So I just went through all those elements really to be precise, really to have this material that will give you the best outlook of my hero's journey. So just writing down, the hero's journey is not that easy. So one hero's journey is not that easy, but multiple ones, it's even more difficult. So for all of you that really navigated to land in the second module, I wanted to give you some perspective on really what this hero's journey is about. So just to give you the brief outlook of really where we stand, is that this hero's journey that we discussed in previous module and this plan that we had is something that I found really interesting and really eye-opening for me. This whole concept of those stages, so first stage, second stage and third stage, is something that I was going through to just check what I can just get out of it and what I can really give you as some kind of tool, as some kind of really telling about my story, or telling these pieces of my story that I want to disclose, and just showing you which elements just fit into which elements of this hero's journey. So these steps, just as a recap from the previous meeting, there are 3 stages in this hero's journey, and each of those stages has couple of steps. So first stage has 5 steps, so call to adventure, refusal of the call, supernatural aid, crossing the threshold, and belly of the whale. Those are the steps. From the steps in here, this is the first one, and this is the first one I wanted to share with you. And this is this first one that I started to think about, okay, so what really I remember on my path to give this community as some kind of highlights, how they can look back on their journey. What are those elements that we can fine-tune in here? So I just split this whole journey that I want to show you into 6 steps, 6 elements that I see that were functioning in my journey. So first one is this mental game that I see as the one that is happening. Another one is this own guidance. So what steps I was doing and what was really the source of taking decisions on those steps. Another one is this discovery of union of religion and spirituality. This is this idea that I'm as well bringing into this group, just to give you the perspective of how you work as human being. Another aspect is this aspect of health. I wanted to just show you a couple of aspects from my perspective. Wealth and parenting will be as well in here as those elements that we want to touch upon. So just moving to this call to adventure element. So basically in this call to adventure, the hero has this perspective on life that is really stable, it is really status quo, so the life is just progressing, and in one of the moments he has some new event, new situation that he is struggling to miss as something new that is happening. He's struggling to lose the focus that already went into discovering what is this new element about. So for me, I saw those couple of elements like you see in here for the mental gain. The ones I want to just give you the path on are unneeded automatic anger reaction that I had for some time, fear-oriented approach, or threats-oriented approach. I will call it fear-oriented approach here to highlight that the fear is really one of the aspects that we are being guided by. And for me as well, this fear-oriented, threat-oriented approach is a side effect of really the security background that I had, where you mostly look for threats, you hardly ever look for the opportunities. As well, this topic of own guidance. So basically, from my perspective, it was about really following this logical mind decision strategies that my mind gave me in here to really just have those couple of stories that I want to as well share. The one being stuck in single-sided relationship that brought me very much to the point where really I had to discover how the mind can build ideal, let's say, avatar out of really self-justifying building blocks, and being fueled by really over-exaggerating the conversations, let's say. So this is one of the elements. Second one is no sense of fulfillment, as well in the terms of really finding the thing I want to do in life that will bring me as well this sense of fulfillment, sense of really serving to best of my potential. It's really quite related to work in here, as well as the next one, navigating only for the next or in next 9 to 5, just really from this context of really how I discovered myself on this path. So those elements in own guidance, in maybe union and religion, I will leave as the last one, and really in here it might be interesting. For the health, what I see is that I have as well two elements that I wanted to map, really, to even to check myself where I've been with those. And as well, for me it's about immunity. For me as well, it was kind of the base inflammation that I had for around 10 years, and I was struggling from that one, and I didn't know if it is inflammation, if it is fungus, if it is anything else, but I knew that I have foggy mind. I knew that I cannot breathe normally. I am exhausted even though I was sleeping quite okay. And as well, in terms of immunity, I was struggling with health for a long time, really not knowing why, just you know, being vulnerable to cold weather, to anything, and sometimes out of psychology, sometimes out of circumstances, but I was really as well struggling in here. Another one is this unsuccessful elements in from trading strategies. This was this aspect that I wanted to check. What is it about? Why I'm struggling in this space? And if there is something that I can do really as well to have these benefits that I would like to have. And I was really doing those elements as on Dow Jones, on S&P 500, and trading, as some of you know, is basing on really the direction where the market is going, not necessarily the current price. The current price is just the delimiter of the direction, but really what you are doing, you are really putting your stakes on the direction, and if the direction is in your way, you have benefits. If against, you have losses. And I had some benefits, had even more losses, but I observed that these trading elements, they stopped me in some of the moments where it was choice between the trading and real life situation. So I saw those as one of the elements. Becoming parent, this is something that for me as well is quite an area that brought me huge amount of self-growth, of this adventure, of new perspective on life that I didn't know, because being just with my wife, it was just one way of life. And really, when this perspective of having new child, how it appeared in our life, we started really to expand, started to see what it might be connected to. But this is a theory before you have child. When the child is already not even already born, but just before that, this period of time as well. This is so inspiring, and I wanted to show you as well what elements I concluded out of that part. The first child and second child, or what I see about those elements, and as well this element that is last but not least, definitely, is this in-depth study of own religion. So for me, it was not only reading the holy texts multiple times to just get my own perspective, as well discovering those the monks who really were speaking about the in-depth aspects of how they pray, what are the real elements of the religion they discovered. Just I wanted to hear more and more, but I saw that without this perspective that I want to explore this additional text that I can, something will not really be fulfilled in myself. So I started as well to go beyond that, as well in search of discovering what Jesus Christ really was saying about what is happening, how we can grow, how we can be better, how we should behave, how we are empowered to be in the best way possible, what are our true capabilities. This all has been said. And for me as well, the interesting thing was this union of religion and spirituality that I found out as really all the religions sharing the same essence, sharing the same core, but expanding in different direction out of this core. And for me as well, I created this humanportal.com, and right now it's really not functioning. It's even off the net. I just keep this domain, or just kept this domain, because there were lots of things I wanted to put in there, but it didn't go back in the moment. It just stayed and waited. So this is where we are moving to this next step, this refusal of the call. So for those automatic anger reaction elements, I thought out of my background, out of what has been happening, what has been the norm, let's say, that really that anger is one of the tools in the toolbox of a parent, especially of a parent, and in the toolbox of enforcing your own view, your own opinion. So for some period of time I didn't observe that I don't resonate with really using it, and really it became automatic, because I was using it just basing as well on what I saw in my life when I was a child, when I grew up. It was in there and it was part of life, and I thought, okay, it might be normal element, but is it? There were some pop-ups that were asking, okay, maybe not. Additionally, this fear-oriented approach that I had, so making everything safe and secure, especially in not necessarily only in technology, because in technology I thought it's justified to make everything safe and secure, which later on I saw that it not necessarily is really like this, because if you make everything too safe and too secure, it will not be functional and it will be useless basically for most of the scenarios. But in here it was specific to life. Should we be always fully safe and fully secure? What is the life about? The life is about taking risks. And even in this risk management perspective, taking risks is supported by threats. This is for negative, and opportunities. This is for positive. Positive risks exist. So why we close ourselves only to the threats? And threats usually to materialize as risks, they need to have high probability. What is likelihood of risk occurring for this threat? It's not only the threat itself, is how likely it is to happen, as well for the opportunity. But why we are so focused on the threats themselves only? That was my idea, why I'm so focused on the threats. But initially it was threat driven as well, not only in terms of my own perspective, so just looking what might be the threat and just signaling it's a threat, but as well for just navigating the kids around the initial part of life where you want to make them safe and secure, because you think it's the best way for them to be protected from everything, from every experience, which is, as you might probably hear, not necessarily the best way to do it. Additionally, it's about own guidance, so mind-only decision strategies, as you see with this single-sided relationship, it was this refusal in terms of really dropping the relationship because of remote idealization, so remote building of what I meant or what I mentioned, this ideal avatar, basically the identity that I saw, not necessarily being supported by true identity, but by even true identity that this person had, but really focusing on this mind idealized image. And this is one of these elements. Another one is this no sense of fulfillment, and for me this refusal as well was that I need to generate income, so sense of fulfillment is not necessarily needed in this way. And I was thinking, okay, the more expertise I have, the better. So this expertise was a key for me, and really just growing in this architect perspective was something that I was on. And what you see as well, this navigating only in next 9 to 5 was this approach that I had like built in. It was that working for someone is the best option. And yeah, it's no paperwork or not that really, but just the income, and then you can do anything. Maybe initially when I was single it was interesting, but later on as experience, but later on it resonated that it's not necessarily my purpose in this very moment. Maybe on the beginning it was just to show, okay, I can do it, but this was not my purpose in that very moment. And additionally, this health elements for immunity problems, it was this approach that was inbuilt, that really yeah, that there are great doctors that know the best and medicines are the only cures, aren't they? That is what I had really embedded because of you know, some knowledge about great doctors and their wisdom being really undisputable, but something as well was really not fully resonating. Initially it was, but later on it started not to. And additionally it was in terms of this inflammation, I received antibiotics, and yeah, the idea was, yeah, they are okay, they are perfect for this kind of circumstance, but and really this should be direct, and this should not be part of really how the body works, how the body needs to undergo the process, and that was it. As well, in this trading strategies, I followed one of the gurus of trading strategies, and really as well, you know, if you have signals for the trades, you just enter it, and if usually you don't enter it soon enough, then you have to option either to really drop it or really follow it later on, and it's like not to miss out this great opportunity that is happening. And as well, with the idea that next income will next trade will bring huge income, because the potential gains, as explained, they were brilliant, and that was the idea as well for the parenting. As lots say, okay, I don't need any guidance, I don't need to read anything to be the parent, it will just work okay. Additionally, for the first child, there was no mention about the communication. The child needs to obey. It's this perspective that parent knows better and is always the guide, and child cannot have its own voice, or maybe when it grows old enough they can. This was one of the perspective. And for the second one as well, this time spent is not the major key for this relationship, and something didn't resonate in this aspect. And for the religion as well, that there was this element that told me, who I am. Am I really the Pope, or really just a priest to tell that those elements exist, that union of all religions in its essence exists? Will I be judged? And as well, this human portal creation, I was thinking that what content I will give there. I'm not a web developer really to design good enough page, and I should just stop doing that because I was doing some elements and I was not doing. It was like some playground for me, nothing that worked properly. And then this supernatural step happened for those, and those were not, of course, parallel. They were split. They were sometimes they were interconnecting, but it can be said that it's in general it was separate. As you see in here, one of those steps for Supernatural 8 was that I participated in some programs like the ones that I mentioned on the tribe, from Tony Robbins, from Dimitra Graziosi, and other programs as well. And in here, part of the program was the coaching element, participation in coaching. And the coach mentioned that I should start to observe those emotions. So really observing the mind with mind, and this was one of those elements. For fear, it was expertise security course, where basically there was highlight that for business to function, so for the company to function, the security needs to focus not only on threats, but maybe even more look for opportunities as well. Making things secure should bring opportunities, not necessarily just mitigate the threats. So one in here. Additionally, for this element of own guidance, for this element of single-sided relationship, this element that brought me this aid was event that you might consider negative. So landing in neurology and really not feeling enough for the circumstance as well, not feeling enough, brought me into neurology on the first hand. So this was this supernatural aid, but that you usually don't consider positive, but it was fully positive, really, to stop, let's say, this madness, you can say, but stop really the brain from going farther and farther. Additionally, I found that I have the brain, so it's okay. It's working. Additionally, those 2 points, no sense of work fulfillment and navigate only in next 9 to 5, for no sense of work fulfillment, I found this serving knowledge broker perspective. So as well the program, and I was really navigating through either going with my expertise or finding something more. And as you see right now, it's this something more that I discovered, and this is about spirituality. This is something that really out of my expertise was outside, and I discovered this life call really to go back into thinking about my spiritual aspect, and discovering the life call, not necessarily only focusing on what I want to do as in expert area. And for navigating 9 to 5, it was working as consultant for some time to just see how it works, how it functions. That gave me the perspective that I can do something on my terms, not necessarily only be a resource for someone. So that is something interesting. Additionally, for the health, this immunity problems, they started to disappear while initially I found this natural medicine, and as well as part of Life Mastery event, where I discovered much more elements to life and how it functions, and how our bio body, how really this energetical body work. Those gurus that landed in there and masters that showed, okay, this is much more than just this physical body. This was one of the elements that I discovered about health as well. And as you probably saw already in those events or in this daily lives that I do, is that as well I saw that food can give or take energy. Probably as well you recognized it and you see it for yourself. So I will show you as well those next steps, on those next steps, how it looked like for me. For base inflammation, I saw that this specific element is probably part of some holistic elements that are happening in my body, and that should be taken as a whole, not necessarily as just part of that needs the cure. And for this trading, I as well discovered this crypto world and its purpose for humanity. So for me it was even more interesting to take a step back from just going into regular direction and going into something that is unknown, as well, of course, with some ups and downs, but at least it was something that had a purpose, not necessarily only monetary, a purpose that I wanted to support by really just buying those tokens that I thought are interesting projects. And for the parenting as well, participating in school of this childbirth school, and seeing that how this process looks like, how complicated it is, how many elements need to happen, you know, just hearing the this child's user's manual for the first time, which is not that easy, and just knowing that the size of the child that would be, this child that lands on your hands just after being born, all those elements of unknown started to unveil themselves. And for the first child, I think, or what I saw is that this multisensory view beyond only 5 senses as well was just showing us the way, okay, for us as human beings in physical form, it might be something more than just the physical form we have and the sensors that we have that needs to be worked on. And for as well the second one, it was something, it was just a vacation period to see when full time I'm available versus this daily job part-time participation in child lives. What are those differences? And just to highlight as well to myself that there are differences, and this element from union of religion and spirituality really just on the essence. I discovered this order of preachers and it's Dominicans, and their voice resonated with me. They were the ones that showed me how many elements more can be seen as well from following Jesus Christ to as well those lives of saints and how many elements we can take out of those lives as those stepping stones for us to discover these capabilities, and this is one of those elements. Another one, as I found the spiritual guide really that I could have talked with for about the topics, not necessarily really talking about sins, but talking about my doubts, talking about this new perspective as well. It was one of the Dominican priests that enabled me that, and as well he showed me, or I was really as well doing in parallel this following of Jesus' promises to those that follow him. And right now I am fully conscious of really that Jesus kept his promises, and I'm so thankful for him for just bringing me where I am right now. And as well those elements around religion that some of us can consider as not really fit for the religion. I mean the meditation. Sometimes it's highlighted that meditation is not something that you would consider as part of the religion, is outside, is different faith and things like this. But what I found is that meditation for me is still this supernatural aid that I can use, and additionally this thing about this human portal is already, while trying to create it, it was for the union and spirituality community. It's I started to be guided back to just recreate it in a new way. Right now I feel, or I see that I am more than capable of really doing something interesting in that topic, but it should be something more. As well as we can see here in the community, it already gives some capabilities to reach out, to just give my voice, to just give the view of what we are about. And that, as well in here, this crossing of the threshold elements for this mental game aspect, it was really this awareness of true links to reactions in the observer mode. So while observing how the brain, how the mind reacted to certain situations, it was just observing what is this core element that really links the mind to just give you this reaction, this automatic subconscious scenario that it plays, and sometimes you just play it and you don't know that you played it. Sometimes someone tells you, okay, you played it. Just think about it and think about how you can consciously play it, not necessarily let your automatic reactions go. And additionally, from this fear perspective, it was as well just seeing, so this threshold is this boundary where you just see something. It's I saw that some people were navigating life a bit different. So they were not navigating life with just protecting themselves from the threats, but really focusing on this protecting themselves from not necessarily fears. I would say that they were not protecting them from fears, but just going with their joy and happiness and those elements that they were focusing on. So and it showed me as well how they instead prefer to navigate opportunities to serve others. For this own guidance as well, this single-sided relationship, it was the decision to end it, and it happened as well quite fast. Maybe side effects, these trials that happened later on as well, they were reappearing in the mind, but it took the decision, it completed this step, and it closed this chapter. The decision to create the community as well, it was something that I was playing around with, but I wanted to do it properly. There were lots of building blocks that needed to be in place, at least as given by some people that already went through this path and they had success in doing that. And what as well happened is that I found that I want to serve. I want to serve to the best of my capabilities, best to my knowledge, and just use this knowledge that I have really to go beyond this aspect. And additionally, to just go into really being the better version of myself from this serving perspective. So additionally, in the health, this perspective of testing the natural medicine, it was not necessarily testing individually, it was testing under guidance as well of this natural medicine doctor that is and was highly skilled in this aspect, but as well just verifying how I can really fuel my body properly, how I can support my body to just give it the best opportunities to work. And additionally, as well in this food aspect is this checking how going mainly into vegetarian state as well as advised by gurus to test how my body will work in this aspect. it was something interesting. As well, in this aspect, this other aspect of base inflammation, it was yoga and breathing techniques and enabling herbs, which as well opened me up for seeing that not necessarily I need to be in the same state for all the time, but I can really open up the mind and make it working much better. So this is this aspect. Additionally, for the wealth, it was really to deciding to test own investment strategies, just to navigate, to check what I can find on this other side, to be as well brave, not necessarily landing in really using the best strategies that exist, but as well having feedback for some other processes, which I will tell you about later on. In terms of parenting, it was just discovering that both angles of mother and father are needed for the child, for the child that is not yet born, for the child that already hears you, for the child that will be here on earth, and as well for the first child, it was discovering the listening versus the monologue that we usually as parents we think it's best to give. For the second one is really discovering the importance of father's involvement at night, as well really to drop this requirement for the whole process to be managed by mother, who needs to regenerate, really to be in joy in the morning, and finding this small acceptance from the child, who initially was not that happy really to be away, but it was a journey as well. Not to miss this spiritual aspect is basically when I started to share those messages I share with you, it was this start of something that leveraged this threshold, going into unknown, sharing the text messages, the posts, the pictures, then going with offline videos, and then going with this live videos that I'm right now doing on quite permanent basis, and as well for the human portal, the decision to restart it, and this is what probably I will as well use maybe even in not that distant future. Additionally, for this fifth step, the belly of the whale step, which is really the step that gives you the perspective of really nurturing something that will be reborn, this is those elements that I found that really for this anger, it's really being in thankful observer mode. I started really to navigate through observer mode in a thankful manner. So when I reached out to observer mode, I already was thankful for anything that has been happening. When fear kicked in, observing how external circumstances easily engage these fear reactions was another element, and really this element that I recognized, seeing and feeling how heart's creative aspect navigates, and discovering really this heart aspect that started to resonate with how in practical terms this navigation worked for me, for own guidance, and for this relationship opening up for heart guidance. So really, instead of the mind guidance, just telling, okay, heart, I want to share my life with someone, just not necessarily be my guide and choose me someone, but unconsciously back then going with the ideas, okay, if it would happen, then it means it is something that should happen, and it happened, what I mentioned already, and in a sense of fulfillment, engaging in this tribe building program, when I saw really how important it is to build the tribe, how important it is to share the message, who did that, and what they had by really following that, and serving others, on this ultimate path of self-growth, and serving others beyond physical and mental aspects is what as well I discovered as part of my own guidance. For the health part, it's about finding this natural medicines, and really not that much looking back into really what mindset I had before, but empowering the immune system on permanent basis. So as well for the food, discovering this high pranic food and discovering energy that exists as well beyond the food. So sometimes we feel that this food brought us energy, sometimes we see the energy that is out of nowhere, and as well discovering that there might be such an energy. As well for these base inflammations, discovering how I can organize the daily schedule for this yoga and breathing techniques, and as well for these herbs, how those can be aligned to what really the body needs, not necessarily as generic ones, but specific ones for specific parts of the body. In terms of wealth, this unsuccessful tests of trading strategies, deciding to test own investment strategies and really starting to take conscious risk, being familiar with the losses, not necessarily just fearing them, and stabilizing this fear of missing out element as well was something that I am as well still working on, because as well this is something in progress, but this tend to be as well in cycles. So this single cycle then might repeat itself until you clean up all those elements. So parenting as well, for before the childbirth, getting knowledge about multiple senses and how to stabilize them. For example, during sleep, if it is possible, and really how that can be worked on. For the first child, focusing on listening was one of the key aspects that I discovered, and for the second, being accepted as companion to finish the sleep. So this is this aspect. For religion, sharing out of heart and in-flow messages in community was something that really empowered me as well to find this flow state, find this energy, additional energy that I saw flowing while really finding out and being grateful for where I am and what I want to share. And as well those elements about how we can really unite the humanity. The second stage, So this initiation phase, as you see and as you remember maybe from the previous presentation, it's about this other aspects, so road of trials, so really going with the trials, the checks, the tests for this new perspective that you had, meeting with goddess, woman as temptress, atonement with the father, apotheosis, and ultimate boon. And woman as temptress in here, as you remember, it's more about life in general, as it is perceived in this way. So again, going around, but maybe just a road of trials, just this process of review of wins and failures, just as well going into recognizing that I am under the trial, and this as well, just refocusing for stability, not necessarily refocusing on really be just observer. So being stable, not really undergoing this automatic reactions. So as well for the mental game, like those fear circumstances, as probably some of you know right now as well, resisting politely this external enforcements that someone was trying to impose on me, and comparing the outputs of heart and mind guidance, seeing how intuition recognizes situation in full context, way ahead of the mind, which needs really this feedback from the previous experiences to navigate. Converting as well in own guidance to heart-guided relationship, and as well challenging the heart, show me if it is for me, and it did show me in a very specific manner how it wants to really nail it. So as well in terms of tribe building, those many choices and expertise and easy gain or higher purpose were those choices that I had, and navigating through serving others, it was getting to know how to become knowledge broker. And in this aspect there was no income but huge experience and growth. And in terms of health, this medicines, setting on own perspective with huge external pressure to stick to what wise doctors say, and as well from this food perspective, not being able to practice that often, as lack of time for eating fresh was always appearing, and using external stimulants as coffee was as well adding to that one, and as well using it as well, and really knowing that it causes the side effects of being not energetic enough. But as well for these additional elements, these daily schedules were not practical, so I had to reschedule those daily schedules of yoga and breathing, enable herms, and the schedule was too elastic. I feel fine and I don't need it today. Yeah. For the wealth, it was deciding to test these strategies, and there were losses instead of wins, sometimes huge wins when followed by heart, because as well it was like intuitive buying and selling rather than the one navigated by head. And for the childbirth is discovering the difference between theory and practice. Sleep, in terms of sleeps, in terms of day planning. For the first child, it was this not accepting of illogical ideas because I know better. Yes, of course that's sometimes not the case. Especially when child is using their intuition to navigate this journey that they have, and not recognizing as well for the second one how many conditions exist for child behavior and child mindset, which as well showed how complicated this whole interactions can become when you navigate it with head. For the religions, it was limited response to this messaging, finding the way to recognize how to share the message. And for this human portal, it was on hold because of many limiting beliefs and many not enough elements that stopped it from progressing. So moving further, because we have quite many still to go, a meeting with the goddess, so really finding out those elements like you seen here, for automatic anger reaction, being thankful for everything that happens, seeing the important lessons learned, for fear, seeing the speed of self-growth, and when following opportunities versus looking for the threats, and seeing the huge benefits of believing in hard guidance. For own guidance, it was seeing how much love and joy happens when you are guided by the heart. And for tribe building, seeing my own self-growth when conquering limiting beliefs. For navigating by serving others, it's seeing others' transformation and small wins. As well for the health, is seeing how this might help others, and previously they were closed-minded, so really just checking how it can go further, and seeing really these good moments that can happen. For the food as well, that really seeing how it might give you lots of energy. While I participating in RIFE program, where program lasted 12 hours and it was at night, and during the day the family as well wanted my support. So it was hard, but I saw how much of a value the food can be, and for as well for yoga and the breathing techniques, seeing the energy flow even with the short night sleeps, and how this can support it, and as well in terms of herbs, waking up fresh-minded and ready to go, which was something that was quite new for me. Seeing the great gains with certain strategies in wealth when FOMO and overthinking were disconnected, so as well seeing that this is important. And for becoming parent, discovering child sleep patterns, seeing as well own sleep patterns thanks to this, and seeing how to respect and willingness to talk improves when actively listening, and as well seeing the complexity discharged for the second one by acceptance and love of everything that happens. For this spiritual path, seeing that this tendency in humanity really to as well see the union of all religions more and more often. And for this project, the Human Portal, reflecting on how important this mission might be. For this life as temptress, as we can consider the life as temptress, so really not giving you the possibility to settle on a certain objective. It is in the mental game, I am aware, but how, and I want to make offers aware, others aware, but how to explain it. So really this view that you are already in the best possible step for you, but how you would explain it further, as well for the fear, seeing the speed of self-grow while being aware, but how to steer this ship when unexpected life situations happen, and seeing huge benefits of believing in heart guidance, and how to navigate it if I need to direct the communication in terms of really just feeling it and being in there, as well in terms of own guidance. Yes, for the heart guided relationship, but the mind sometimes tries to mimic the heart, and it tries to guide us, causing short circuits, but basically explaining you in some way something that is not necessarily the true heart guidance, but it can consider it can be considered that it is by your mental capabilities. For this tribe building, is it a hobby? Would I need to stay 9 to 5 to support it, or it can support me and my family? For as well navigate by serving others, yes, but those others are who, those others are where, and what I want to serve them with, this element. For the health, it might work fine, but how to translate it to those that really don't recognize it yet, how to stay eating fresh in daily life, it might be difficult. Is it really possible to stay energized without eating much? For this breathing and yoga, would it be permanent in current times with permanent toxins intake, this whole base inflammation cure, healing? And as well for the herbs, yes, but would I need to lock on permanent herbs intake for the lifetime? As well in wealth, this great, but those markets are volatile, and isn't it better to stay on the side during this time, or during most of the time? And for the parent perspective is as well nice, but when sleep patterns change, then what? So those are all ors, or all ifs that happen. And for the first one, when we have no time for active listening, then what? When we get signals we don't understand, then what? How to still proceed with acceptance and love in there? And in terms of religion, what if people are not ready for this knowledge yet? Because that might be one of the cores of really this not happening instantly. And for this human portal, how would I provide enough value? Just to give you this final elements from this atonement with Father, apotheosis, and ultimate boon or gift, it's this aspect, atonement with the Father, just recognizing your true self, going beyond your physical aspects, your mind, your body, just discovering those other capabilities for the destiny, that it is for you to be the creator of your own destiny, as well, going out of those fears and just focusing on this creative guidance, just discovering your essence in heart guidance, as well, by building the community, going out of your divided self, uniting your external and internal self, so that your energy for serving might be this force for good that is mentioned as well by Tony Robbins, who mentions that what if you could discover your true self on this spiritual journey? What if you can discover your true abilities that you thought are just in fantasy books? Because some of those abilities that we can have, they are considered fantasy abilities. And what if you start to see building blocks of creation? What then? What if previously you've been highlighted, and now is the time that you should start something? What if this might be the ultimate solution and you have keys in terms of medicine? How likely it is that it's the building block we are missing in terms of food to work at 100% of our abilities? Who gave you the tool, the gift, and who guided you to discover this yoga and breathing techniques? How life holistic that talks about these herbs were, how you talked with those that were really giving you those herbs, what was their knowledge, how you exploited their knowledge as well, to see that there is much more that you don't know, and how much it gave you the clues in terms of, well, that it's not about the money, but about tuning to your serving self more than just the money. As well, in terms of parenting, how it changed your perspective of life, how it grew your respect to parents, how much it showed you the criticality of communication, how much it showed you the unconditional love that you have and that you should use. In this culmination element, this is just this final view on really where you are. Like, did you already see that all this anger is fueled by your ego and needs to be seen, accepted, and loved? So just discovering this solution and really seeing that it exists. Did you already notice that through you is in your creative focus? Did you already felt how beautiful your path is by following your heart? What if this is the voice of your soul for being heart guided? Isn't it one of the key tools that enable your growth for community building? did you discover serving yourself as well while navigating, serving others? As well, are others just on a different path to same destination? Have you considered that? Are those beyond physical aspects something you already noticed? How much more union you feel right now while discovering those elements? And those small elements, were they there to give you this navigation of your ship? And as well, for the health, was it to discover how unique vehicle you have? And this vehicle is your human body. And those elements becoming part of us as the food we consume really converts into ourselves and cells in our bodies to be alive or not to be alive. This is this question that we can start to ask back then, that we have the solution and what we should do with it. As well, this view that we can use this existing wisdom in other communities, in other nations, just to leverage our growth. And as well be conscious that nature gives us the gifts beyond what we can imagine. The gifts that are limitless. And as well, this perspective on wealth of discovering your inner wealth outside only this physical wealth. And as well, how much love have flew into your life in this very moment for when your child is born. How much you saw yourself in this small child that appeared. The beginning, later on, while it developed, while it started to talk, to ride, to run, to participate in communities. For a second as well, how we differ, how one is different from the other, and how many unique stories we all have. And this gift, how much stronger you felt, how much more confident you were, how much of higher self you discovered. Did you conquer your fear that blocked you for a long time? And how inspired are you to discover life right now? Have you discovered how you can move from mind to heart? Have you seen that building your community gave you insights that you were lacking? Have you found the gem inside of you when you serve others? Have you discovered we are same? How empowered you feel by discovering others. How joyful you feel when expanding your horizon. Have you had the same gift that you put off and it's coming back from yourself? Have you discovered your body true capabilities when it cooperates with mind and soul? Have you seen how important things are for you to become who you are, those foods that you eat? Have you had any health situation that uncovered your true capabilities and made you curious about what's more? Have you discovered how strongly we are connected to nature and can be healed by nature? Have you discovered your remark from God about not being so attached to physical world? Have you observed how your first steps happened when you were learning to navigate world? Have you noticed how beautiful it is to be someone's guide and teach the navigation through life? Have you felt that others are on their unique journey and you can be their guide if they decide to give you this possibility? This last step is this step of choices that the hero usually has. The refusal of the return is when he stays in the situation and does not want to return with this gift, to give it back to humanity. And this magic flight is where he picks up this trophy and returns with this master key to life. Rescue from without is when he was really struggling and really neglecting the possibility to do something. It's this rescue that came. Crossing the return threshold is really when he decides to bring the gem back and start translating to how this gem can be used. Master of two worlds is when he lives in those situations, the ideal one and physical one. He navigates between one and the other, and freedom to life is really just enabling the true capabilities that we all have. This refusal of return usually is connected really with not passing these things that you receive. The wins, did you have those and kept from trying to share it? Did you have any fears and didn't want to disclose them? Have you been afraid of telling others? Have you seen building the community as something you don't want? And have you been reluctant to serve others and you knew you could help them? Have you kept your spiritual discoveries internally, as they can be considered weaknesses? Have you been afraid to tell what you discovered beyond the aspects of your religion? Have you felt something new when going beyond horizon you knew? Have you neglected something that would have had huge impact on the world? Have you had courage to stay guided by your own internal guidance? Have you neglected the testing part and wisdom gifts you received? Have you thanked yourself for the journey? Have you abandoned the closeness to nature because you had no time for it? Have you been testing this element on and on without just moving to serving part of yourself? Have you thanked your parents and God for giving you this journey? Have you stayed on the side of your child's life? Have you judged others while knowing that they have their unique path? This magic flight is where you just take off and share your wins. You conquered your biggest fear to serve others to fullest potential. You seen others navigating with heart and you joined them. Have you been present in your community to give your perspective on growth? how serving others converted to serving your own self? Have you added empowering elements to your faith or beliefs? Have you grew with others while showing them even more guidance discovered on path? Have you given new perspective based on love, joy and happiness to empower people even more? Have you shared your message on next level? Have you empowered others and guided them into wisdom? Have you shared the solution you found? Have you shown appreciation to those that were on your path? Did you empower others to be in line with their internal voice? Have you shared your going beyond path with others? Have you appreciated yourself? Have you fully appreciated the life of those that share the path with you? Have you rediscovered the ones that are close to you? This rescue from without is really connected to having those elements, wins, and those events that brought you back, or you were struggling so much you felt you need to really share your message, show your courage, or really trying to build community and needing to do it, or being asked for help, you needed to speak up, you were going in circles, needed to tell this message in understandable language, and that your gift that you initially had returned as being needed. Did you really were forced to be using those elements that you thought you don't need anymore in your health, those things that you were taught by someone else? And in nature, just seeing that nature reminded itself that it can be great support for you. In wealth, you were having same results, and you didn't move to your serving part. Why? You keep getting the same results. And if you were just on the side for the child, have you been happy about your life? Have you been judged because you judge someone else's path? And just this crossing the threshold element is when you decide that you want to go, find the effort to do work on your mental game, find the perfect message, expand this navigation into the world, try to see how you can improve your community, how you can convert yourself by serving others. Add some elements to your practice. Show some others the elements that they are missing. Show them your discoveries. Create as much impact as possible Look for the language that you can use. Empower people. Hear this internal voice. Show others what is important. Share your story with your kids. This is so important. Give them strength and wisdom, and love them just for being. Just before the last one is this master of the two worlds, so really existing in both realities and trying to show you that it's possible to navigate in both the spiritual aspect and this physical aspect. So sharing the wins. And really staying in tune with your achievement. Conquering fear and used it as foundation. Navigation with heart, to stay even more guided with heart. Being present, serving others, and all those elements in tune with yourself. All those elements that you see. New perspective. Share your message to the next level. Empower others. Have this solution shared. Show appreciation. Empower others to be, really. Have this path shared so others know. And be in tune all the time with yourself. All the time with this best version that you can be. And this freedom to live. This can be summarized quite in compact manners, how it happened for me. It's sharing the wins, conquering biggest fears, navigating with heart. Have you been present in your community, serving others, empowering elements, being added to your faith or beliefs, growing with others, giving new perspective, sharing your message on next level, empowering others, sharing the solution you have found, showing appreciation, empowering others to be, sharing your going beyond path, appreciating your childhood, fully participating in life and rediscovering life all the time. To recap, this chakra elements is this hero's journey seems to be one of the best canvas for self-improvement and for life, and forces the character to disconnect from physical and pursue the unknown, pursue the non-physical aspects, especially of the inner self. It for the cycle of growth, it highlights the courage as the starting point, and this as well shows you what are chakras about. And this as well is my current perspective on what are those cycles of life that we are undergoing in terms of hero's journey and in terms of chakras. And with that, thank you very much and have a great evening, have a great weekend, and see you next time in next episode. Stay tuned and all the best on your hero's journey. Bye.